Welcome to the Fuse Cup Meet the Coach podcast, an opportunity to get to know the coaches and hear from those working in esports in education. We are so thrilled and excited to be bringing you the very first episode of the Fuse Cup Meet the Coach podcast. Today's guest was on the very top of our list when we started to think about the guests we want to have on our podcast. Not only is he a passionate and amazing leader, he's also an inspiration for this podcast. He runs a podcast called About a Teacher, which shines a light on amazing educators. He's a head of junior school at a large independent school here in Queensland, and I'm really excited to hear his philosophy and his take on the importance of esports in education. So without further ado, we'd like to welcome our guest today, Mr. Travis Goulter.
Okay, Travis Goulter, thank you so much for joining us today. Guest number 101 with the bullet.
Wow. I'm super honored. I'm not sure, Dan, if you're going with me first because it can only get better from here or I set the bar so high, I don't know, you're going to struggle to get guests on. I don't know, but thank you for the invitation. I'm super excited to talk about esports and education and opportunity to converse with you, my friend.
Thank you, mate. I couldn't think of a better guest. We've been fortunate enough to have, a lot of chats about esports and about education. And, I was on your podcast, which I've mentioned, which is great. So About a Teacher. Just a Teacher. Just a Teacher. Where did I get that one from? Just a Teacher. So you are a big inspiration for this podcast. So thank you so much for being on today. So
really excited.
Just a little bit of background. I mean, I know you, and a lot of people who will be listening to this will know you. But can you just give us a bit of background about yourself in education, and then anything else you want to kind of share before we get started?
Yeah, awesome, Dan. Look, I'm currently head of a junior school. I work in the independent sector, so I'm in school leadership. But it was never, I guess, on my game plan. Actually, teaching wasn't necessarily on my game plan when I finished high school and went to into college. My dream was to go to the University of Michigan and play basketball with the Fab Five, or just take over after the Fab Five. But I stopped growing at about 5'11", and my athletic ability really hindered that. So I thought sports journalism was the next best step. So I went into a journalism degree. And look, maybe I wasn't ready for university. And so then I took some time off and did some other things, got some life experience, as some might say. And I came to a bit of a crossroads there. And it was like, I could go sort of either way. And I had a number of people tell me, hey, you should consider teaching. Like you're good with kids. You got good communicator, some good skills. Why don't you look at education? It's a good backstop or fallback. And I went, okay. Look, I was really a bit lost. And I went, okay, at least I'm doing something that I feel. And then I think, like many people, I went into it and then jumped into a prac in a year 1 class at this small Catholic school, and I loved it. It was awesome. Yep. Like just the stuff kids would come up with. And mate, I was with they'd laughed at my jokes. It was like, I could do, it was brilliant. Some of the jokes went way over their heads, but the teacher would laugh. It was good stuff. And so then, I just loved it. I just fell in love with teaching and went into the classroom and look, I was really happy in the class. And it was a bit like a Steve Bradbury moment happened where I was at a school and their head of student services and head of curriculum, there was 2 roles. They both, I think, got different positions and things and left. And I was still like really, could have been classified as a beginning teacher. But I think I showed some initiative and some leadership others saw in me that I didn't see in myself. I'm not sure. But like the principal, or maybe they're like, this guy will do it for a few months. The principal came and said, hey, look, we got these 2 roles, but would you be happy to do like part-time head of curriculum, part-time head of student service, would make them into 1 role and go for it? And I said, okay, I can do that for 6 months. 6 months turned into 12 months. Then an opportunity arose, and it just sort of kept growing from there. My journey in leadership, I ended up being getting a role as a deputy principal or a deputy head of school, and I really loved that. And I remember the headmaster saying, "Oh, what's your next aspirations? Do you have a next step?" I said, "No, I love this job. This is so good. I still get to like go into different classrooms and support people and influence and be close to students and things." It was like, because every step you take a step further away. And look, hey, and really the buck didn't really stop with me, so that was pretty good too. Like you could sort of refer that next thing, and then it just happened once again, that Steve Bradbury moment happened where I don't want to say people fell in front of me, but like the role sort of fell, and I got asked to act in the role, and once again, I really enjoyed it. There was things that I was like, wow, okay, I enjoy that. There's conversations and decision making I got to be part of that really excited me and challenged me. And it was literally the last day to apply because I wasn't going to. I was going to go, happy to go back. And some parents were really on my case, which was a good sign. I must have been doing an okay job. Yeah. Saying, hey, you've got this, don't you? You're applying. And I was like, oh, sort of. Okay, I'll just throw my hat in the ring. And and got it. And I've been loving my school leadership journey. It's awesome. I think as a teacher, I was a lifelong learner and always looking for the next way to innovate and grow. And school leadership's just the same. It's really cool.
It's so nice to hear that story from you, because often I hear you ask that of so many people, and I didn't know any of that about you. But one thing I do know about you, I've been fortunate enough to see you in front of kids at your school, and you're an absolute natural. You're a natural with the kids. Your ability to communicate with them and on their level. So it's no surprise to me that you've shot up the ranks very quickly, and the rapport you've built with your students that I've seen personally is not something I've seen often between a head of school and students. So full credit to you there.
Yeah. Thanks, Dan. And probably something I should have added in there, maybe that I didn't, is most of my career has been, I guess, in the department, and I've only been in the independent. Oh, it's probably nearly getting even actually. Yeah. But so I think in being in the independent sector, so look, I think I can see, I guess, scenarios from both sides, and it gives me hopefully a bit more perspective to help guide when I'm working with teams and my school and families and communities and so forth. There's definitely things I really miss from working with the department, things I don't miss, and vice versa. I'm sure if I ever went back the other way, I'd feel the same about the independent sector. So I'm really fortunate, that the opportunities that have presented themselves have been really good ones.
Well, I'm very grateful to whoever recommended you to get into teaching, mate, because I'd hate to think about, what teaching would be like without you.
Thank you.
What about your history with gaming? Like, were you a gamer as a kid?
Good question, Dan. I was thinking about that when you asked me to come on the podcast. I was sort of going through a timeline in my head about my journey, because I love gaming. I do love video games. I was just playing with my boys this afternoon. We're having a great time. I guess my journey started whenever Atari 2600 came out. I remember that being my first console and just falling in love with a range of games on there, like Space Invaders and other games and Pitfall and things. And it's like, hey, I loved it. And then I was really fortunate. My parents must have gone, okay, this is an okay thing, because then going to the Sega Master System and the Mega Drive, and then probably when the Mega Drive must have been around when I was, I think, finishing high school, maybe, I'm not sure, because I then remember going to say share houses with my friends and things, and always having a console, PlayStation, Xbox, whatever it is. One of us would get one, and then we'd all just share it and game and try to get up before the other person or stay up late, and so we could get better at Gran Turismo or Halo or whatever it is. And there probably wasn't so much the online gaming at when I was, I guess, going through those stages. And then of course when I was in teaching and even leadership, I having my Xbox and being able to play, I love my 2K and other games, and then having that online community to play with, and sometimes experiences are really positive. Sometimes maybe people say that about competing against me as well. But I think it's all, I've always found enjoyment. I've found like gaming to be an escape. I'm a pretty competitive person by nature. I've loved my sport. I've loved my basketball, really passionate about it. And so I think that competitive drive to get better and win and gaming provided that. My Xbox broke, unfortunately. And then my wife sort of went, no, look, I lose you down in the men's den for like extended periods of time, or I go out and I think you're going to do jobs and then you just end up on there. Yeah. And so there was a period of time where I didn't. But now I guess my boys got to a stage. Oh, I actually had a Wii. I should throw in there. I had a Wii for my daughter because she'd enjoy some of the games on there. And then my boys got to an age where I sort of convinced it would be good family, Mario Kart and etc. And we went down the Nintendo Switch line and so I enjoy helping them and doing games cooperatively, and of course I find a few of my own games to play and stuff like that as well. So it's always been played a part in my life. And so I was actually, Dan, thinking about when you asked me to come on the podcast, and I was thinking my perspective as a teacher and a parent. I wonder what my mum would say if she was on this podcast, because I think I don't know, I guess now I don't know what your house is like, Dan, and the listeners, but we've actually got 2 or 3 TVs. And so like the boys can be on a TV, and then we can have another TV and things like that. We can watch our stuff and whatever we want. But when I was growing up, even in most of our share house, we had one TV. So I've just got these memories of me sitting and playing NBA Live 95. And I'm going, I can't remember people telling me to get off. Maybe I've just blocked that out. Maybe that's like PTSD, and like I've just blocked out my dad ripping it out of the wall or something. I'm not sure, but I can't remember being told not to play.
Maybe they were just enjoying the peace and the quiet. Just let you play.
I'm sure my sister would want to watch something on TV. That's the strange thing. Maybe because I was a little bit older. Anyway, we won't go there. Yeah,
it's interesting though, because I have a lot of the stuff that you were saying is mirrored in my experiences too. So I think the people who grew up with gaming consoles before they were online really have an appreciation for that social aspect of gaming, which I hear is ringing through in your comments there about share houses, and now with your kids, your own kids, it's that kind of that bonding and not so much that insular one-on-one type of or one-on-many, which sometimes happens in homes at the moment, and gaming can get a bit of a bad rap around it. So it's good to hear that social aspect is still strong.
Yeah, for sure.
Now, this question's kind of geared more towards, well, I guess I'm really interested in your perspective because it's about leadership. And often one of the things we hear at the Fuse Cup is people really want to get involved, but they really need to convince leading around it. So what are the educational merit points, and how do I convince my principal? So I guess with you, being, part of that decision-making process, what was that conversation like? Did you need to kind of talk about that at a college level with your executive team, or is this something you said, I think this
convince myself?
Well, it probably didn't need much convincing.
no, but Dan, in all seriousness, look, I really saw the value of esports as a school leader, as a teacher. I guess just as someone maybe who's a little bit closer than other school leaders as well. I really saw the value in esports about giving opportunities to young people that sometimes may not have opportunities through other co-curricular activities and sports and things like that. Yep. But I also know lots of our kids play, and it's a great way to get people together in a supportive, safe way and build good sportsmanship, if that's the thing, respect and be able to structure in a positive way so people are having positive experiences gaming. And through the Fuse Cup as well, it's been great to play online against other schools. I know, no one wants to go through COVID and lockdowns and things again, but I think a positive was we had teams playing in FIFA, and I can't remember Rocket League. Maybe it was just through the FIFA, and just to be able to see and talk through them coachable moments about how you handle maybe something that hasn't gone your way in a game and things like that. That was really invaluable.
Yeah.
I did have to, I guess, I don't want to say convince. I presented why I believe esports was a positive experience for our junior school to our senior executive. I guess I was fortunate that we had a strong senior school esports team. They were actually really successful in competitions that they competed in games that were relevant to them. And so I guess I could go on a little bit on the back of that. And then go, hey, I think it provides a really good pathway. And basically I was doing all the heavy lifting, the organization, the supervision, really all of that. And so that's probably going to be a challenge when there will come a stage where I may need to step back a little bit from doing that. I really love it, but it can be a lot to run all different competitions and things like that. And I guess in any school, and these are the really positive things, is we started with our year 5s and 6s, and nearly daily, weekly, the year 3s and 4s would come up to me, Mr. God, when are we doing Mario Kart? When's our Mario Kart competition? And I'm like, I've got to organise something for them. And so I did, and it's been really positive. Like Dan, when you set up, say, trials to select a team, and you get 60 kids come all want to have a go, I think that's a really good sign, and it's good. And once again, it's a good experience. They all must have some connection or drive to do that. And also, like when you're selecting a team of 4 to 6 players, there's going to be disappointment. And I think it's a great teacher as well as go, okay, how do you handle this? And like any sport, is the time you put in and the effort and how you train and practice and things like that is important as well. And your mindset, I think that's a really big one for me that I've learned, is that I talk about tech rage sometimes, kids going like tech Hulk and things. My own son can do that at times, and I probably can do it as well, is trying to, those teachable moments. Like I tell kids, but then I can see a kid actually happen. I can see him get upset or really angry about it and go, hey, after they've calmed down, let's talk through that. How did you handle that? What could we done next time? Hey, and I think, it's so many positives, and hey, the prize money. Not in the Fuse Cup. There's great prizes in the Fuse Cup, but look, hey, $3 million or whatever it is, like
for those pro levels, absolutely.
And I was just I forgot who I was talking to only the week before or 2 weeks before, and they're going about a lot of universities now have esports scholarships, just like colleges have. Like I was talking about the Fab Five basketball team in Michigan and me wanting a scholarship there. Maybe I should have stuck to my esports and got one through that avenue. But
they've even got an Ivy League esports competition for all the Ivy League schools here in Australia as well. Scholarships with a lot of the major universities here in Queensland, on the Gold Coast. Bond University actually look at esports as an elite sport, so they classify esports just the same as they do with swimming or basketball or tennis.
Maybe I'm going to do my PhD for free and just go through a scholarship esports.
You got to keep that Hulk, rage quitting under wraps, Mr. Goulter.
Yeah. I'll try. Yep.
So you spoke a lot about the positives for the students and having 60 kids turn up. Was that generally the kind of feeling that you had? The response was very positive when you explained to the kids, hey, now you're going to be able to participate in esports?
Oh, definitely. Like the response with the students has always been positive. They've always been really receptive and wanting to be involved. Of course, sometimes it's dependent on the game and things like that. And of course, that's like anything. Like you'll have your tennis players who really love tennis, and they'll jump at any opportunity and they go, football's, maybe for me, I might have a go. And that, I think that's like games as well, video games, also. So I think students have been really receptive. I haven't had too much pushback from teachers. Once again, it's we set ours up like it's lunchtime organised, either after school trainings, games are really, we put it around so it's not impacting the learning in the classroom. I think that's a real key. Of course, sometimes we go to competitions, Dan, and the teachers understand it, and what's a warning and notice about that, so we can prepare. And on the whole, parents have been really positive. I haven't had a parent yet go, I don't want my child to participate in that. Some people sometimes ask me questions about it, going, what, you doing Mario Kart at school? Blah, blah, blah. But once again, I usually frame it around sport and how it's, competitive but friendly, and it's, opportunities to develop some really good habits and skills as well. I think, Dan, I talked to you about this, and I think maybe I shared it, and you said it nearly went viral, is when we had our year 3-4 Mario Kart final on our assembly. So I had all the 4 drivers, and they rate, and the noise, that was only negative feedback, was how loud it was. But I think it showed, hey, it's not just the competitors, it's the spectators, and everyone can get really caught up in it, and it creates a really great environment. And it's, I think that's fun and engaging. And I've seen that when we've just done lunchtime trials or games, is the noise in there and things, or sometimes get the teacher librarian or someone in there coming from shutting the doors and things like that. But I'm like, oh, sorry, the kids are so into it. I'm so into it. And I forget sometimes. But
it's a good noise. It's a good buzz. Hey, what about other misconceptions? Like, you've spoken about, you've had a couple of parents or a couple of teachers, but what do you think have been the biggest, or you may not have experienced them, but generally, what do you think the biggest misconception?
Not explicitly, I haven't, but I guess
around esports might be.
Yeah, I guess maybe looking at discussions and comments and articles. I sometimes read some articles about e-learning leaders and journalists, or I don't even know what their relationship is to education and technology, but they like to have an opinion. And just saying, how bad it is and negative and the dangers. And I was thinking about this, Dan. I had like I said to you, I loved basketball growing up. Like, I had ambitions. I was going to play professionally. That's what I wanted to do. And I had a mate. He was better than me, but he took obsession to the next level. And he lived, breathed, ate basketball, and then he just quit. Like, it just and I think about gaming like that. Yeah, you can get absorbed, and it can become your life, and it can become a negative thing. But that can be with I don't want to say reading, but sometimes there's kids I have and I love them reading, but sometimes I go, mate, you got to go and play with your friends. Like, got that. I know that's a good book, but you just got to put that away, or don't read it in the pickup zone and get run over. So I think it's like anything. It's about setting up healthy habits, and that's where I think parents can go, like the negatives of gaming, my kid's going to get obsessed wearing an adult diaper and never go to the bathroom and things like that. And no, they won't if you put some boundaries in place. Just like, if you've got a kid who wants to be a professional table tennis player and they just play table tennis 12 hours a night or whatever it is, that's unhealthy. So you have to, as adults and teachers and things, have to put some boundaries in place to make sure it is a healthy habit as well. And I think that, I guess the only other thing is about game selection and the online environment. And that's where I go back to, say, esports and education. Like, that's the teachable moments that actually, like, I can get up front, I can get guest speakers coming in and talk about online safety and all that. And look, some of it will trickle through a little bit, but to be able to actually go, hey, look, we're playing FIFA against this other school. Like, that comment you made, it's a mistake. And like, mate, or you hear from another school, or like another school may have said something or reacted, and like, hey, look, I'm sure if they had that again, they would do differently and things like that. Hasn't really happened, but I'm sure there would be those moments as well. And when we're playing, just like anything, like when I'm training with the teams, they will say things to me as well. And we'll talk about different games. And I've got a really great IT support guy at school, Jack. Shout out to Jack.
The legend.
And he's a little bit younger than me, and he's probably a bit closer to the gaming and things like. And he can have really good conversations with the kids and talk about that. So I think, once again, teachable moments at school, and then at home, parents still have a responsibility to be monitoring and listening to the conversations that maybe their kids having while they game and the games they are playing and things like that. I think that's the big one. Like, geez, I guess any game, any activity can be dangerous if it's unsupervised and you throw in excessive, and you throw in some dangerous factors. Like anything can be. So.
Yeah, well, I think that's what I like about our online competition is even though it's online, it's still supervised and structured, and you've got teachers on both ends. As you said, having those conversations, and it's contextual, because we've all had those, cyber safety people come into schools, and it just goes
snowed on my FIFA game, like
in
the
there and
snow
out
FIFA.
there often. Yeah. So no, I agree. So other than those teachable moments, what do you think some of the other benefits around esports in your setting has been?
I think just engagement. Just once again, like I've had some students participate and get selected to take part who wouldn't have represented the school in some other areas. I've also had one or two young people who I've been able to use esports as a motivator, going, I want you to be part of the team. You've qualified, but hey, like anything, like if you're going to represent us in rugby or choir or drama or whatever it is I need to make sure you're going to be a positive role model, and that if you do go and compete and miss that half day at school, you've done enough that's not going to be a detriment to your learning. So if you're not doing your homework or you're not applying yourself, then look, sorry, you can't miss it half a day of school. But if you're doing all these good things and you I guess being positive learner, then I think you can have half a day off or a day off to represent the college in esports. So a little bit of a motivator as well. But like I said, also opportunities, some kids who just love gaming but may not be into the sport or other side of things can really, I guess, go, that's something I really want to be into as well. I think like we talked about before, online component being social, I love getting the kids together, and when they're supporting themselves in real time doing esports as well, I think's another really awesome factor to see. Some kids coming up with some awesome stuff, supporting each other and things like that. And some of my highlights from the Fuse Cup, we've been fortunate to win a few, Dan, but I still go, my highlight of the whole thing so far is one of my boys who I would say resilience was their area of growth. Like I'd seen it as they were training, and I was like, I'm not sure how this is going to go. I'm going to have to be close to this one. I'm not sure how he's going to go. He was competing against a student from another school who struggled with, probably had really high expectations and thought they were going to come in and just dominate, and didn't. And he gave them encouraging words, and I don't want to say consoled, but like supported them. And I was thinking someone was going to have to do that for him. And then he did that for someone else. And I remember ringing his dad and telling him, and like just positive feedback from that was like awesome. So yeah,
it's really cool. We've run a lot of competitions and seen lots of those positive moments, and kids who may have had a goal scored against them and look at their opponent and say, that was awesome, and you see that kind of sportsmanship, which is great. You spoke about that resilience, and you spoke about that kind of using it as a motivator, and that's very, very common, the things we hear from other schools as well. I'm just wondering about, training sessions, you use that observation of the student with his resilience. Have you seen any other, surprising comments from students or any other observations you may have made that you want to kind of talk about? Positive, of course. Hopefully,
yeah,
Mr.
positive.
Goulter.
No, they are. I'm just thinking about some of the funny stuff kids come up with when they play games, and probably like me, sometimes on the basketball court, my mouth might make checks that my game can't cash, and I do sometimes see that in the esports, and that's good because I do like that. Sometimes kids might go in pretty confident and maybe say,
bit of a reality check.
My kids are amazing. I'm really fortunate the kids I get to work with. But like, if I call it trash talk, it's a little bit like trash talk. They might go, "Hey guys, you're all racing for second. Good luck," and then see them not place or win, and then have to manage that. On Just a Teacher podcast, I talked to Adam Voigt about shame, and I think sometimes for them having to deal with that, going, wow, okay, I've talked the talk but not walked the walk. I've learned a lesson here.
Yeah, it's a good life skill.
Which is good. And look, I don't mind a little bit of bravado. Okay, I like a lot of bravado, but it's good, and I think that's good and just to see how they bounce back and bounce forward, and other kids can take that as well. Sometimes I think that's a little bit about resilience. I love those kids who go, "Hey, I'm not going to be psyched out. I'm just going in and racing or competing and whatever it is as well." Like I said to you, I enjoy the encouragement and how kids get excited over other kids' successes. I think that's always awesome when maybe like we're training, or I'm in my final trials to select a team, which is always hard at the end. I don't like doing that, but having to select the team, and the kid will be competing and their friends come to support them. They're not even in esports, but they come along as support.
That's just so cool.
I guess just like they would go watch their friends play seven-a-side soccer on the oval at lunchtime in our little World Cup competition and things like that. They go and support each other. I'll support their friends when they're competing as well. Like I said to you, I think also now that I'm sort of thinking out loud, it's also the organisation side of things as well for my players, is to go, hey, we're going to have trainings, these lunches, you need to be here. Like, it's a way of showing me that you're invested in this, and just like any sport, just like when I've got my open rugby team and things like that, if you don't come to training, don't expect to be running on. Like,
exactly.
It's same with the esports, and that can't lead to some tough conversations with some of the guys so far. But is like, hey, no, mate, you missed 2 trainings this week. You're not going to be the number one. Or, I'm sorry, I've brought this guy in. He's come. He wasn't even knew he wasn't selected, but he wanted to come and just help us prepare.
Yeah, be part of it.
I'm sorry, mate. He's going to have that opportunity now, because like when we do this, it's probably something I'll look at doing more this year, Dan, is sort of making up some agreements when selecting teams around, okay, this is a commitment. What are you committing and things like that. I think probably now that I am thinking about sometimes a challenge with the parents is like when we do select our teams is training. I think sometimes at home kids may use me as an excuse to get extra game time.
Well, I'll tell you what. Get them to look at the player code of conduct, because it clearly says in there that being part of it doesn't mean you have to train more at home. So
but like they'll say, "Oh, we got the state cup coming up tomorrow, like this week or whatever it is." And some of our parents, I think, push our kids to train as well, a bit more. Especially the dads of the FIFA and stuff like that who play at home with their kids.
Probably
sometimes.
Sit there.
Probably mums as well.
We're training together.
I should say that, but mums as well out there. But so a lot of positives there, especially when I think about, we've got like what I call our golden 5, and esports ticks all of it. Like, you develop the confidence, persistence. You've got to be organised. Getting along is really important there, as well as look, I think it's a great tool to teach many mindsets, habits, and values, and engage kids at school as well.
Mate, I couldn't agree more, and it's great to hear, that your experience is kind of why we set up the Fuse Cup, to teach students about those values, to have those teachable moments, to really connect with kids in areas and passions that they have, and provide opportunities that kind of don't exist for a lot of students. So it's great to hear that mirrored in your experiences, and I just love what you're doing, and you've got the reigning champs at your school, so it'll be good to see them compete this year again, and keep up the friendly banter with the other coaches. So look, we're thrilled to have you guys on board, and thank you for your time, mate. You've been guest number 001, and as I said, couldn't be happier with how it's gone tonight. And thank you for your time, Mr. Goulter. Thank you so much for being part
Thanks, Dan, the man. Love
our
it.
very first podcast.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you. And thanks for the Fuse Cup, mate. It is superb. If your school's not part of it, they need to be part of it. It shouldn't take too much convincing, because, it's win-win-win-win for everybody. So, get involved.
Okay, mate. Take care. We'll see you soon.
Sounds good, mate. Thank you.
No worries.